Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, lawyers representing Janel Grant say she was coerced into writing a recently published 2021 love letter to Vince McMahon. We've also got contract news coming out of WWE regarding Cody Rhodes and Becky Lynch. And also we've got injury updates coming out of AEW involving Kenny Omega and Ortiz. All that and more coming up now. A love letter email that Janel Grant sent to Vince McMahon in late 2021. However, lawyers representing Grant, who is, of course, the woman that is suing WWE, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis for, amongst other things, accusations of sex trafficking. Lawyers representing Grant claim that she was coerced into writing the email. A full link to the email and the New York Post article is up in the show notes. However, here are some snippets from what Janel Grant wrote. She wrote, "After almost 3 years together, it's like my life isn't even real to me unless you're there and in it, and I'm sharing it all with you." Grant, 43, wrote in the Christmas Eve letter to 78-year-old McMahon, obtained by the Post. They don't say it, but it seems highly likely that somebody from Vince McMahon's camp leaked the email to the New York Post. The Post continues to write, "The love-struck letter stands in contrast to the allegations in her explosive lawsuit filed in Connecticut federal court in January, which claimed that McMahon allegedly defecated on Grant's head during a threesome in May 2020, some 18 months before she wrote the alleged love letter. But Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, told the Post that McMahon actually instructed Grant to write the note. Here are some comments from Ann Callis. She said, "Frankly, it's pretty disgusting that Vince's weeks-late attempt to defend his horrendous behavior he claims to this day never happened, is to try to showcase letters that Vince himself coerced her to write. His psychological torture of her continues, as is typical of abusive predators who respond to women speaking out with increased threats. While Janel isn't a stranger to his intimidation tactics, this is a new low even for him." Here's a fun addition to this case. The New York Post reached out to lawyers representing McMahon, Jessica Tobe Rosenberg of the law firm Kasowitz Benson Torres, which just also happens to be the law firm that represented Major League Wrestling in its lawsuit last year against WWE. So McMahon's attorneys stated that no one coerced Miss Grant to write that letter. She wrote it of her own accord. Nowhere in her voluminous complaint that is replete with fabrications does she mention being coerced into such behavior. The language of the letter is consistent with other communications she made to Mr. McMahon over the course of their consensual relationship. Grant's representative, who asked to remain unnamed, also said that Grant had written love letters at McMahon's request so many times that she resorted to padding them with existing material from pop culture, including a GQ interview with Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, published 2 months before Grant's letter. In another point of the letter, Grant's spokesperson said, "The sugary sweet lines were ripped verbatim from the 1947 film The Bishop's Wife." This comes from a passage where Grant wrote, "I feel understood, accepted, loved, and appreciated for who I am at my core. You see my heart, you see my soul. There are few people who know the secret of making a heaven here on earth. You are one of those rare people." Representatives for WWE did not respond to the Post's request for comment. Also concerning Vince McMahon, he sold $100 million worth of TKO stock last week. He has now sold more than $1.2 billion worth of TKO stock dating back to November. Also concerning Vince McMahon's latest stock transaction. So now with 11,518,000 shares, he is at about 6.7% of all TKO shares. So he owns 6.7% of TKO group holdings still. Staying with WWE for a bit here, Cody Rhodes recently confirmed that he's signed a new contract with WWE. So this was reported by Dave Meltzer in October 2023, although it was never officially confirmed. However, during an interview with News Now in Las Vegas, Rhodes was asked about previous comments he had made about retiring from in-ring competition at 40, and he noted that in the interview that he recently signed a contract which will extend past his 40th birthday. So he said, I can tell you 40's out of the question as a retirement age, just because, not to like give you a scoop because it was widely reported, but I did sign a new contract with WWE and it extends beyond my 40th birthday. However, I will say that the plan is still, when it's time to step out without it being kind of a painful process. So it's not clear exactly how long Cody Rhodes is now under contract with WWE for, but it's going to take him past 40, so he's going to be with WWE at least past 2025. Also concerning WWE contract news, Becky Lynch said in a recent interview that she's only got 2 months left on her contract. So she was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani and was asked about if she's negotiated with any other companies, if she's free to negotiate with any other companies. Lynch more or less blew this off, saying, I'm WWE. And she would later say she does not expect that WrestleMania 40 will be her last WrestleMania. So the gist of it is Lynch only has 2 months left on her contract, but she sounds very confident that her time in WWE is not coming to an end anytime soon. Drew McIntyre recently commented on his segment from last week's WWE Raw along with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. The segment got a lot of people talking, specifically the part where CM Punk alluded to Vince McMahon having been the person to give McIntyre the Chosen One nickname. During an interview on the Torgan Elliott radio show, McIntyre said they were given a guideline for the segment, but it was not scripted word for word. He said this week, a lot of stuff. If you watch that interview with myself, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, I'm sure you could feel the tension. Basically, the whole thing, if it felt uncomfortable, it's because there was an outline and it's three guys going out there who might not like each other, might have personal feelings, but also are good at their job and go out there and just tear into each other verbally without it on a piece of paper. Because it's stupid, writing everything down and then delivering it to a live audience. So the segment did incredibly well in the television ratings. It started just before the 9 o'clock quarter hour began. Some people have pointed out that this was also during halftime of a college basketball game as part of March Madness. However, the segment did 2.2 million viewers, or it averaged 2.2 million viewers, and did a 0.71 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic, comparing that to the show's average, which was 1.7 million viewers and a 0.57. So it caused a huge spike in the ratings for WWE Raw, which is not something new for Punk and Rollins. They had a segment back before Punk got injured where they had an in-ring segment also around 9 o'clock on a Monday Night Raw, or I think it was 9 o'clock, that also caused a huge spike in the ratings. And one more note from WWE, and then we've got some AEW news to get to. Tamara Mena Stock, who you might remember, she was one of the gold medalists who came out to the ring during SummerSlam after having taken gold in the 2020 Olympics, which took place in 2021. She made her in-ring debut at an NXT house show in Melbourne, Florida over the weekend. She defeated a wrestler by the name of Brianna Covington. Moving on now to AEW. Well, actually to CMLL. It was a big night in Mexico City on Friday night as the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson, were joined by Matt Sydal in the main event of the Arena Mexico show on Friday night. Now, Mystico, Volador Jr., Blue Panther, and Ultimo Guerrero were able to pick up the victory over the Blackpool Combat Club. However, after the match, Bryan Danielson challenged his favorite wrestler or his favorite luchador as a kid, Blue Panther, to a one-on-one match on next Friday's show in Arena Mexico. I had the chance to watch the last 3 matches of Friday's show and thought it was fantastic. So if you're interested, you can subscribe to CMLL's YouTube channel. It is expensive. It's $35 a month, but you'll get to see Bryan Danielson versus Blue Panther on Friday. Now with AEW, we saw Matt Cardona answer Adam Copeland's TNT Cope Open Challenge On Saturday's Collision, of course, Copeland and Matt Cardona go back to 2007 when Matt Cardona as Zack Ryder, along with Brian Myers as Curt Hawkins, were the Edgeheads. They were Edge's entourage and helped him pick up a victory in the main event of the 2007 Armageddon pay-per-view. So Matt Cardona posted a lengthy statement on social media thanking Tony Khan, AEW, and Copeland for making his, quote, dream match happen. On Saturday's Collision, he wrote, "My dream match finally happened last night on AEW Collision. When I was in high school, Edge was one of my favorite wrestlers. I'd have matches with him, an invisible version, in my bedroom or trampoline. Him reinventing himself into the rated R superstar made me an even bigger fan of his. A couple of years later, Brian Myers and I made it to WWE, but we were drowning as the Major Brothers. We were about to be fired. We had an idea to be Adam's entourage, his edgeheads. He didn't need us, but we certainly needed him. He took a chance on us, saved our careers, and changed our lives. We went from sitting and catering, about to be fired, to wrestling guys like Undertaker, Batista, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, etc. We learned so much from working so close to Adam. Our first time at WrestleMania was being involved in the main event. I thought the next year at WrestleMania, it'd be Edge versus Hawkins versus Riders. That didn't happen, LOL. 16 years, holy shit, flew by so fast. Adam had to retire due to a neck injury in 2011. My dream match would never happen. Adam returns to WWE in 2020. I get fired from WWE in 2020. My dream match would never happen. I've been busting my ass these past 4 years to reinvent myself. Adam is the rated R superstar, and I'm the self-made superstar. I've been everywhere. I've wrestled everyone. When Adam joined AEW in 2023, I knew my dream match was back on the table. Last night in Canada, Adam had the Cope Open, an open challenge for his TNT championship. I accepted. The fans didn't forget the history. There was a holy shit chant on my goddamn entrance. I may have lost, but I learned even more from Adam from that match. It was a night that I'll never forget. I finally wrestled my dream match. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Tony Khan, for the opportunity." Staying with AEW now, Ricky Starks appeared to be injured when he took a Pele kick to the back of the head by Darius Martin during him and Big Bill's match against Top Flight in the AEW Tag Team Tournament on Saturday's Collision. Stark was pinned by Darius not long after the move. The trainers checked on Stark, who remained on the ground. However, he would take to Instagram shortly after Saturday's show just to let everybody know that he's fine. He wrote, "I'm all good. Everything checked out fine. Was being precautious." Well, one wrestler whose injury status is not all good is Ortiz. Unfortunately, the 32-year-old revealed on Isaiah Cassidy's vlog that he's got a torn pec and he's going to have surgery for it in 2 weeks. And after that, he's going to be out of action for 4 weeks. It's not clear when Ortiz suffered the injury. However, his last match on record was the January 20th taping of AEW Collision when he teamed with Eddie Kingston in a loss to Bryan Danielson and Claudio Castagnoli. Is going to be out for 4 months and 2 weeks. He said 2 weeks, 4 months recovery time, and then I'll be back more jacked with a mullet and a mustache. Concerning AEW contract news, Jake the Snake Roberts revealed on an episode of his Snake Pit podcast that he's re-signed with AEW and it's a 1-year deal. Now, you might be saying, well, we don't see Jake Roberts on television very much. And although he is technically the manager for the Righteouses, Vincent and Dutch, as well as Lance Archer, he also participates in AEW's community outreach programs. He is listed as a special advisor for AEW Together, which is their community outreach team. Also on that team is Paul White, Mark Henry, and Sean Dean. So Roberts did say on his podcast that he plans on bringing back his Snake Pit stable to AEW shortly, however. In an update on Kenny Omega's condition, it was revealed in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that Omega is going to have surgery to treat the diverticulitis that has kept him out of action since December. Originally, the plan had been to wait a few months to see if surgery was the best course of action. However, it was noted in the newsletter that it now appears certain Omega will undergo the surgery, and there is no timetable at all for his return. There is some lineup news to report as well. On Monday, Matt Riddle posted a video where he challenged Zack Sabre Jr. to meet him for the NJPW TV title at Windy City Riot in Chicago on April 12th. So the lineup for that show now looks like this: Tetsuya Naito versus Jon Moxley in what could turn out to be an IWGP Heavyweight Championship match should Naito still be the champion come April 12th. Hiromu Takahashi versus Mustafa Ali in what might be an X Division title match. Takahashi has been encouraging Ali to put the X Division title on the line in the match. We'll also see Tomohiro Ishii versus Nick Nemeth, Jack Perry versus Shota Umino, a Four Corners Open Challenge match featuring the Strong Tag Team Champions Hikuleo and El Phantasmo defending against Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols of TMDK, Tom Lawler and Fred Rosser, and Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson. We'll also have a Riot Rules Tornado Tag match with Eddie Kingston and Gabe Kidd being the captains of two four-person teams, and as previously mentioned, Matt Riddle against Zack Sabre Jr. There was also an addition to the lineup for Ring of Honor Supercard, which will take place Friday, April 5th from the Licoris Center in Philadelphia. Ring of Honor posted a video featuring a backstage altercation between Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie and Dalton Castle before Jerry Lynn revealed that Castle versus Johnny TV at Supercard of Honor will be a fight without honor. So the lineup for that show now has Eddie Kingston defending the ROH World Championship against Mark Briscoe, ROH Women's World Champion Athena defending against Hikaru Shida, ROH TV Champion Kyle Fletcher defending against Lee Johnson. The finals of the tournament to crown an inaugural ROH Women's TV Champion will pit Queen Aminata against Billy Starks. As previously mentioned, there will be a fight without honor featuring Dalton Castle and Johnny TV. And we will see Stardom wrestlers Mina Shirakawa, Maika, and Mia Sarah against Azumi Tam Nakano and Saya Kamatani. And a sold-out WWE Raw will take place tonight from the Barclays Center in New York. Listed for the show is The Rock and Roman Reigns appearing. An 8-man tag team match has Johnny Gargano and The New Day teaming up to take on the Judgment Day's Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, and JD McDonough. We'll also see Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell team up against Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree, and recently announced a rematch between Sami Zayn and Bronson Reed. That's going to do it for this video, everyone. Make sure you smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the notifications bell, and we'll see you again next video.